right, good morning everybody. Welcome to Lakeside Auditorium on the campus of the University of Miami, and thank you for attending today's introductory press conference for our new men's basketball coach, Jay Lucas. Our Vice President Director of Athletics, Dan Radakovich, is going to kick us off with some opening remarks, then he'll turn the podium over to Jay. Then Jay will take questions from the media in the first two rows here, and then we can go back outside and enjoy this beautiful weather. So, Dan, why don't you kick us off?
Carter, thank you so much, and good morning, everybody. It's a great day here at the University of Miami, here in the Lakeside Auditorium. This is a wonderful day for our university and for our athletic department as we welcome Jay Lucas as our new head men's basketball coach. When Jim Larinaga and his lovely wife Liz, who are both here today, when Jim decided to step down in December, we launched a nationwide search to find a leader who would carry on the tradition of excellence in this program and also successfully navigate the challenges of the new era in college basketball. I want to thank our search committee, Chairman of the Board Manny Cadre, Board Athletics Committee Chair Jose Mas, Executive VP and Chief of Staff Rudy Fernandez, and Deputy Athletic Director Brian Baptiste. I would also like to thank our search firm, Collegiate Sports Associates, and its president, Drew Turner, and also President Joe Echeverria for his assistance and guidance during this search. There was great interest in this position from around the country, but from the outset, the committee was very impressed with Jay. His knowledge of the game, his passion for the game, and his commitment to building a basketball program the right way. Jay also possesses a great basketball pedigree. He is someone who grew up around the highest levels of basketball thanks to his father, former NBA star and NBA head coach John Lucas, who is here with us today. Jay is an innovative coach. He's a tireless recruiter and a proven talent developer. He has coached at some of college basketball's most storied programs and has learned under some of college basketball's greatest minds. Jay understands what it takes to compete on and off the court. He sees great potential here at the University of Miami, and he is ready to hit the ground running as our head coach. In short, we believe for our Miami Hurricanes, Jay is the right leader at this new time in college basketball. Please join me in welcoming the Lucas family, Jay, Corey, Jackson, and Caleb Lucas, to our UM family and community. Ladies and gentlemen, Jay Lucas. There you go. It's all yours, Jay.
Oh, thank you. How's everybody doing? Good. This is pretty cool. Pretty cool. You know, it's like a deja vu moment. I've dreamed of this moment my whole life, and this is exactly what it looked like. So this is pretty amazing. I want to thank everybody for coming out. I promise not to be too long, but when you're prepared for this your whole life, you got to thank some people and give them the blessing. All right, first one is God. I just want to say God is good. I'm both honored and thrilled to stand before you now as the new men's head basketball coach at the University of Miami. This is an opportunity and a dream come true. I'm grateful for the university for trusting me for the responsibility of leading this program into a new era of basketball. And I would like to thank President Echeverria. I know he's here somewhere.
Right here.
There you go. I appreciate it. Me and Joe, we share some of the same qualities. The most important thing is we both love winning. So I appreciate that about him. I also would like to thank Dan and Brian. Just during this process, they have really showed me that our visions are aligned for where we think the program would go. I also would like to thank Rudy Fernandez, Jose Mas, and Manny Cadre just for showing me the passion and the desire that the university has to compete for championships, and that's something we were aligned into. You know, I'm a true believer in is that the people that make places, and throughout this process, it became apparent to me that that was here at Miami and why I love to have this job. And lastly, I would like to thank Jim Larinaga who's here, Coach L. I appreciate you for coming. Can we give him a round of applause? And his wife, Lynn. I know how big Wides are a part of the program, so I just appreciate everything you've done for the last 14 years of this program. And you know, you took it to heights that had never been before. And I just plan to continue to build on the strong foundation you left behind. I would not be here in front of you today if it wasn't for people who invested in me, both as a coach and a person. You know, I'd like to thank Rick Barnes just for the opportunity to start my coaching career at my alma mater. I'd like to thank Shaka Smart for really pouring a lot into me and having weekly meetings with me of how to become a successful head coach, as he would call it. I'd like to thank Coach Cal just for giving me the opportunity to grow and develop at the highest level of college basketball. And then lastly, I'd like to thank John Shire just for doing something that had never been done in 30 years and hiring somebody that wasn't a part of the brotherhood and helping him build the new era at Duke University. And lastly, I would like to thank my first example as a coach, someone who just taught me a foundation of hard work, relentless pursuit of excellence through adversity, and my appreciation for relationship building comes from my first example of a coach who happens to be my father. I've watched him connect with players on a personal level, but also I've seen him help them on an individual level and through the trials and tribulations, and just witness him mentor them and helping them find their way back, just like he did. He is my true definition and example of what a coach means to me. I love him. Joined here today by my family. I'm laughing because I've never seen them cry, so it must have been a good speech. I'm joined here today by my family, my wife, Corey, my sons, Jackson and Caleb. Caleb is 7 months, so he's somewhere running around. You know, my wife, just her willingness to let me chase my dreams. Moved around the country many times, and she's always made it feel like home. There's not enough thank yous I have for you. And everything you do for me and the boys. But I will say this, she was not sad about this move. She was okay with this one. There's no seasonal depression in South Florida. So, you know, that is something she was okay with. And, you know, I'm sure a lot of you are asking why Jay Lucas. And to understand that and answer that question, you really have to know me. You know, my whole life has prepared me for this moment. You know, I became a coach long before I knew this was my calling and what I was supposed to do. You know, when it comes to basketball and coaching, I have authentic experiences. You know, from a player standpoint, I was a high recruit. I was a McDonald's All-American. I was in the portal before the portal was a thing, so I was a transfer. I started 30 games. I came off the bench. I've had games where I didn't play. So just that relatability to understand where people are and having that conversation with them. And then as a coach, you know, myself, I like to think I didn't skip any steps. Started as a special assistant at Texas under Rick Barnes, moved to director of operations. I left, then moved to assistant coach under Shaka Smart. I left a coaching role to go to Kentucky because I wanted to be at the highest level and be at a storied program and learn what it looked like there. And then from there, I became associate head coach at Duke and worked under a first-time head coach. And a big part of that was preparing me for this moment right here and what I have to do. My spirit is a lot of things except for running a program. But through these experiences that I have gone through, and the preparation and what I've done, I know I'm prepared and ready to lead. And now I understand why I went through everything I went through for this moment. And the 3 things I believe in, and 3 things my program will be about, first and foremost is relationships. You can't do anything meaningful if you don't have strong relationships. And this will be our foundation in our program, but also in the community and on and off the court. Getting to understand that we are better together, and then that our bond and how tightly we are connected will determine our spirit and how hard we compete. And I just need them to understand that I'm here for them always throughout life. These are lifelong relationships. This is not just a coach-player relationship. I want to be in their weddings. I want to see texts when their kids are born. I want everything like that. The second thing, and Dan kind of touched on, is development. It's a huge key. The 3 things in development are a big key to me. The first one is you got to be intentional. You have to have a purpose behind everything you're doing at all times. And you have to be able to explain it and get them to understand why you're doing it. The second one is you have to be consistent. Every day, no matter how you feel, what's going on, you're here to do a job and you have to get it done. And then lastly, The main thing to me is you have to be receptive. You got to be open to change, open to feedback, and then just open to experiencing new things. Third and final value is competition. You know, for me, this is our relentless pursuit to fight for our values and our standards, no matter the circumstances. We need to control the controllables, dominate the details, and understand what is important in that moment right there. There's a process to winning. We will not cheat the process because we value winning. I can promise you that. To the students, to the alumni, and to the city of Miami, this is your team. I want you to take ownership in it. We can't be our best version of ourselves if we don't have you behind. We need you. I can promise you one thing. We will be relentless in everything we do. Defensively, our resistance to keep the other team out the paint will be relentless. Our pursuit to make sure that every shot is contested will be relentless. And then lastly, I'm a defensive guy. So I just believe it is what wins championships, and that's what we will hang our hat on. Offensively, we'll be relentless in the amount of pressure we put on you in transition. We will be relentless in hunting for the best shot we can get every possession. And then lastly, we will be relentless in our attention to executing with detail. We'll be relentless in everything we do, especially to create and sustain championship level success here at the University of Miami. With our attitude, approach, and accountability to our daily habits, we will be able to do this. By being connected through everything I just talked about, relationships, development, and competition, as I spoke of earlier. Not only will the team be relentless, but I will be relentless. I understand this opportunity. I have prayed and worked for this my whole life. I will not take it for granted. I will give you everything I have. I can promise you that. And most importantly, we will be relentless in our pursuit to make the fans, everybody in here, and the whole city of Miami happy. And we will remember one thing that is always true.
Players, have you heard from any of them? Are you going to try to flip them, or are you going to leave them alone? Thank you.
First part of the question, it was extremely hard. It was extremely hard to leave, just off the relationships you built there. You know, I was there with the beginning with John 3 years ago when we started his program at Duke. And then this year we finally had a team that could win it all. And you know, you recruited those kids, and we had returning players that's been there 3 years, and you build that relationship and that bond with them. That was the hardest part, just leaving them. It wasn't hard to leave for these reasons, because this is something I wanted. And you know, the times have changed. You know, this is the first year teams didn't qualify for the ACC tournament, so the season here was over. So I felt like it was my responsibility to get down here as quick as I could and make sure we got started on the right foot and got the program going. So that was really important to me. And then secondly, I can't speak on anybody who is signed, committed anywhere, but you know, one thing, and it's just true moving forward, is you always want to keep the best players home. So that's what we'll try to do moving forward.
Go ahead, Derry.
Welcome, Coach Gary Furman, King Sport.
Thank
You have a unique perspective because a couple weeks ago you did the scout
you. Yeah.
for Miami, so you probably know the current players and team extremely well. Talk about the process that you're going to go through here. You have 2 weeks before the transfer portal opens. You've got to evaluate the players that are currently in the program and make decisions on them, and obviously pave the way for what you're going to want to do in 2 weeks. Can you just talk about the process that you're going to go through and get to that point?
Yeah, you know, I got the opportunity to meet with the team last night. That's the most important thing to me, and I wanted to do it right away. And I told them, you know, it's spring break, so I told them to go home, enjoy themselves, take a week. I had some individual meetings and want to meet with everybody individually, and I just gave them my support, and whatever they wanted to do, and the conversations we will have will kind of, I guess, determine what they want to do. But I just wanted to let them know they wore the jersey, they're part of the program. We are here to support them in any way. I know it's a lot of places and universities that when people go in the portal or go pro, they kind of don't let them in the gym or the facilities and stuff like that. So I was just reassuring them that they have access to everything, at least while I'm here and while they're here. You know, it's a different time where they feel they're making the best decision for themselves and their family and their career, and you can't fault them for that. But for me, it's just having these conversations over the next 2 weeks and seeing where we fall.
And then the recruiting plan moving forward?
Yeah, it's going to be, I mean, I know it's going to be a big overhaul because you just never know. So, you know, my expectation coming in was that I would need to get at least 13 new players, just because that's the way it is now. But you never know, like I talked about earlier, with the opportunity of people coming back, it could be a little bit lower. But you know, my expectation is just hit the ground coming and then find people who fit what I talked about. That's a big key for me. Everybody has to be aligned. If you're not aligned, you're never going to be able to win. So I have to make sure I recruit people who's aligned with my vision, but also the vision of the staff.
Azubi Charles with James Ford. Welcome to Miami. Just wanted to ask you, obviously you've coached against Miami, you've been here before. What was your perception of the program beforehand, and then now you're actually here? Does it kind of match your expectations and what you thought it would be?
Yeah, it does match. And like I spoke about earlier with Coach Larinaga, what he's done here is tremendous. You know, there was really no basketball tradition and identity really until he got here. You know, the Sweet 16s, the Elite Eight, the Final Four, conference championships, stuff like that. He's put it in a position where it's ready to take the next step just in this new generation and this new era of college basketball. It's so different. So, you know, the foundation, it has strong bones because of what he's built. And I'm just happy to come in somewhere that has a strong foundation.
Adam on the end.
Hi, Coach. Adam Lichtenstein from the Sun Sentinel. First off, congratulations on coming to UM. My first question is, obviously you mentioned new era of college basketball, and college athletics is likely to change again in a couple months with that approval of the House settlement. When you were in the process of getting hired, how much of that was a point of discussion? How much of an investment did you want to hear from Dan Radakovich and the UM administration on how invested they would be in funding basketball?
Yeah, it's just they show the investment they have in winning. That's what it takes nowadays, you know. And especially with the new era of college basketball, you're able to close the gap on some of these schools that have these storied traditions and were able to recruit at a certain level. There's a little bit, it's not completely closed, but there's a little bit more of an even playing field. And just everything that was explained to me and the identity I had and want for the program aligned with what they had and their vision. So it made it an easy decision for me.
And then what do you want for the timetable for hiring your staff, and do you expect to speak to the current assistant coaches here and potentially retain them?
Well, it's a weird time because most people are still playing because conference tournaments I think start today and then some West Coast started. So I've been in communication with people. I really want to take my time because I really want to get my staff right. It is a big part of making this place successful. So I'm talking to a bunch of people throughout the country, both grassroots, high school, professional, college, so a little bit everywhere. And I'm meeting with everyone. So I don't know if retaining anybody is on my plan. I don't know if it's not until I sit and talk to everyone.
In the back, second row, Mike.
Coach, right here. Mike Cunio, CBS Miami. Talk about the new challenges of the new era of college basketball. You mentioned even closing the gap quicker on teams. Seems like the big challenge is keeping your players year to year.
Yeah.
For you, how do you handle being at a program like Duke? How do you handle just having to recruit your own players every year just to make sure they stay?
Well, it's a part of it now. It's just things that come with the job. It's a completely different job now than it was when Coach L took over and when he started coaching. So I've been more equipped to kind of grow up in this part of college basketball. So it's made me more accustomed to having to deal with it. But it's an everyday battle. It's almost an hourly battle because there's so many people pulling on them in so many different directions that they can go. But it's just making them feel that they're at a place that cares about them, that's going to develop them. At the end of the day, they want to develop and be able to chase their dreams. And if you can get everybody to do that collectively and together, then that's how you win. So that's the biggest thing, is just making it at a place where they feel comfortable that they can be. And we were able to keep players at Duke, so I've had some experience of having to deal with that, and I have to do it my own way. But just those experiences will help me kind of navigate what you're talking about.
On the front here, Justice.
Thank you. Justice Sandals, Sports Illustrated. Coach, so dealing with the amount of players that you're going to have to deal with, one of the clips that came out from your last time you were here playing against Miami, Jalil Badil was staring right in your face when you hit a big three. He's going to be one of those players that you possibly want to keep. Who were some of those other players that you've seen just throughout the scouting report that you might want to retain?
Well, it's just talking to everybody. And I will say, I can't tell you exactly who it is because my vision of the program and how I want to play, and my style of play may be completely different than how they were recruited here and what they are expecting. So it's just having those conversations and seeing if we're aligned and it fits with what they want. And then from there, we can kind of explain roles and how I see them and my vision for them. And if they like that, then they'll have the opportunity to stay and fight for whatever they want. If not, then, you know, I'll help them any way I can.
Go ahead, Luke. Second round.
Hey, Coach. Luke Cheney with the Tide View. Very nice to meet you. You're a defensive guy. You've come from a defensive background. I know you touched on this briefly previously, but just what are some of those key pillars that you build your defensive identity off of?
Well, it's just kind of what I spoke about earlier, but the first thing is transition. You got to be able to stop transition offense on the other team and make sure you don't give away any easy points. But part of that is offensively too, making sure you're getting good shots and valuing the ball. And then, you know, the biggest thing is just eliminating their paint touches, trying to keep them out the paint as much as possible, be physical as possible, and then finishing possessions, being able to rebound. You know, I like to have positional size, so it gives you the ability to switch and do a bunch of different things, but also pick up pressure, give them different looks. You know, that's the thing. Don't let anybody ever get comfortable. And when you find something that's working, stick with it. That's a big part of it too.
Go ahead on the end, Danny.
Welcome, Coach.
Thank you.
Danny Enriquez, Canes Insight. So this is an area historically been known more for producing football and baseball players, but with the emergence of South Florida basketball culture, what have you seen there, and how do you plan to attack that going forward?
I mean, it's kind of like I spoke about earlier, especially with this next class coming up, the 2026 class. I think probably Florida has the best talent coming out these next couple of years. So it's just building those relationships, getting them to understand the value of staying home, the value of coming to Miami, the development they'll get here, and just really locking in on just locking down the state, honestly. The times have changed where kids do want to stay home, but there's also the opportunity and the resources and NIL and stuff to go, you know, to other schools and things like that. But it still comes down to building those strong relationships with the right people and getting them to understand the value of being at the U.
Any other questions? Any questions up there? All right, thank you very much, Coach.